Hello everybody and welcome back to the Gaming Power-Ups. On today's episode of Tales from the Memory Card, we're going to be talking about Super Mario World for the Super Nintendo. So, just a little backstory. I'd gotten my Super Nintendo, which came bundled with Super Mario World, on my 4th birthday from my uncle. You guys will hear me reference my uncle a lot in these videos. He was the driving force for me in video games. He was the first one to introduce me to video games, to keep me in video games. Most of the, celebrations throughout the years of Christmas and birthdays and stuff like that, he was the go-to. He always got the cool things. He always got the video games, and he didn't get socks or a t-shirt. As back as when you were a kid, that's the last thing you want to get was clothes. He's always been that driving force for me, and I really do appreciate all the things my uncle has done for me. So you guys will hear me reference him a lot in these videos, so he kind of gives you an idea of who he is and what he means to me. So, on to Super Mario World. The overworld is comprised of 7 areas. You start off, obviously, in the first area. Now, you will find that in the overworld, there are yellow dots that signify levels. There are red dots that also signify levels, but they signify levels with an alternative way of beating them. You require most of them as having a key and a keyhole. Now those are kept relatively close together, so typically when you find the key, you will find the keyhole pretty close to it. It's never something you would find in the beginning of the level and then have to carry the key to the end of the level. You also find mini castles, ghost houses, explanation blocks, and you will also find Star World. So Star World, once you're able to find Star World, you're having to go and take an alternative path through, the first one is the ghost house in the second area. Once you find Star World, you will zip up and away into Star World, and there are 5 different levels, all of them red dots. All of them have to be completed with the alternative way of playing through them with the keyhole and the key. That unlocks more of the path around it that is actually in the shape of a star. There's also, I call it Star World Plus. There's on the middle of the peak. So if you can imagine a star goes like this. I'm terrible at air drawing stars. Kind of the bottom part of the star. When you beat that level the second time, it opens up Star World, or Star World Plus, I guess. I'm not too sure of what it's called, but I've always called it Star World Plus. And you get up there, and those are probably the most difficult levels throughout the entire game. It's a lot of having to have time jumps, using Yoshi and flying off of Yoshi, using a feather, using these little balloons that you get in certain levels, and it's a little P balloon, the letter P on it. And Mario would grab those and he would just swell up and he would float like a balloon. And you would, you'd only have a few seconds with it, and then you'd hopefully have to hit another question mark block to get another balloon and kind of get you through the level without taking any damage. If you took damage, you would fall right away. So also what Star World is good for is get you to different areas of the map. Now, one way to do it is to kind of almost speed run to Bowser. You can take Star Road all the way to Bowser. You'd have to beat 3 levels, and then once you get to I'll air draw again the star. Once you get to the bottom right, you will be put right in front of Bowser's Castle. So you can actually play right through Bowser's Castle with only beating about 6 or 7 levels, and you can already be at Bowser. I'm not very sure if there is an alternative ending or if anything like that. I'm not sure. I don't think that there is. If you 100% the game versus just kind of speedrunning to Bowser. As far as I've played through it, I'm pretty sure it's the same way. But it's interesting that, you could play this long game of going around the whole, all 7 areas, beating every single level, going all the way through Star World to get to Bowser, or you could beat about, 6 or 7 levels and get to Bowser right away. Interestingly enough, with shortcuts and alternate paths of taking, which the game has multiple of them, even when you get into Bowser's area, you can also go through another castle, and if you find the alternate path in the castle, you're able to skip the first half of Bowser's Castle and get onto the second half of Bowser's Castle. So it's even quicker to defeat Bowser. So next I want to talk about the different color Yoshi. So we were introduced to Yoshi back on the NES, but this is where you got different color Yoshis. And they all had different abilities. They all, for the most part, performed as a normal Yoshi. You could swallow your enemies, or you could put a shell in your Koopa shell in your mouth and spit it out at your enemies. So a regular green Yoshi would take a green Koopa shell and would just spit it out. A red Koopa shell would spit fire. A yellow Koopa shell would Yoshi would be able to stomp and be able to stomp around enemies. And purple, blue, indigo color would be able to allow Yoshi to fly. So in Star World, you're actually able to unlock the little baby Yoshis, and they're all colored Yoshis. So there's the purple Yoshi. So regardless of any shell that Yoshi will hold in his mouth, will allow him to fly. The second being the yellow Yoshi, which allows him to stomp. And then the red Yoshi, which allows him to just breathe fire. So it's pretty cool that you can get to those different Yoshis and use them while you're playing the game. Another important aspect of the game to help you reach some of those alternative ways of getting through the game is the explanation block or switches that you have to engage, which most of them take you through, again, an alternative way to beat a level, which opens that up, which allows you to unlock certain areas. They start off as just little dotted lines, like just an outline, and then once you find that switch palace and you've activated that switch, it will become the color that of what switch palace you're in. So the yellow ones are pretty cool because if you find them in the world, they automatically give you, they'll always give you a mushroom. If you find the green ones, they will automatically always give you a feather. There's also pink and, again, indigo, purple, bluish color. Those two don't give you anything. You can't, you can't activate them by hitting them or anything like that, but you can use them as like little platforms to jump over across places or run up. In this game, you can, holding run, and you hit like a little wedge, you can run up, the side of a pipe or the side of the explanation blocks, which is pretty interesting. So another addition that they had for Super Mario World was the ghost houses. And man, as a kid, they were the scariest things I'd ever played. You got in there, and it was the haunting music that played in the background to the ghosts that if you turned your back on them, they would slowly get closer to Mario. Now, we'd already seen Boos in Super Mario World 3, or Super Mario Brothers 3, but there just was so many more on screen in Super Mario World. And interestingly enough, with the Boos, is the gentleman that created the Boos actually kind of designed them over after his wife, where she was a very, sweet, composed lady when he was talking to her. But if he ever crossed her, kind of turned his back on her, she could be kind of ferocious, which is kind of interesting. So on top of the ghost houses, they also introduced mini castles. So again, we had kind of seen those in Super Mario Brothers 3. These ones here also will help unlock alternate paths again throughout the world. Not everyone specifically, but some of them will allow you to kind of get around certain parts of the map a little bit quicker than going around. And in every level, or every end of the mini castles, you'll encounter the Reznor, which is like a rhino on a spinning. There's 4 platforms that spin. It says Reznor on the back, which was actually named after Trent Reznor from the Nine Inch Nails, for the English translation, which was kind of a cool nod to him. Super Mario World also introduced the feather, which you'd had the leaf in Super Mario Bros. 3. The feather was kind of an additional to that. Mario put a cape on, and you were allowed to glide. Once you built up enough power and you ran off a platform, you could glide, and he would kind of go through the motions if you press left and right, alternately back and forth, and he would kind of glide for a short period of time, or you could just push down and he would crash into enemies. So next up, guys, I'm going to show you a little clip I've put together of Super Mario World. Just kind of gives you a look at the overworld, kind of a look at Star World, and some the Yoshis. So let's take a look.
All right, so what we have here is the opening scene of the Super Mario World here before the title screen. Just shows a little demo like most games do. And so now we'll get into it. And the first area I'm going to show you guys here is the right above the ghost house. The first ghost house is the top secret area, which you can find by finding an alternate route in the ghost house. And this is pretty cool because you get mushrooms, when you're small out of any of the question mark blocks, but always the ones on the right will be feathers and the ones on the left will be a flower, as you can see there. And the middle will always be Yoshi. Now, if you go into that area riding a Yoshi, or if you stumble upon a Yoshi anywhere else, you'll always get a 1-up if you're riding a Yoshi. So I'm just going to slide down over to the Star Road area, but before I do, just kind of give you guys an idea of the overworld map. Kind of show you all the different areas. So you see right past there in the forest there, the Forest of Illusion, you actually have to go into it and it will open up in the map. Same thing once you unlock Bowser, you'll go in and see his as well. So here in Star World, you'll, first I'm just going to jump off into this level right here just to get rid of Yoshi. I'm going to show you guys the different color Yoshis you can actually get through the game. So you'll see here in this level here, that this one is the purple, blue, indigo color Yoshi. So this one, doesn't matter what kind of Koopa shell you swallow with Yoshi, he'll always fly. And then the next one is the yellow Yoshi. The yellow Yoshi is, it doesn't matter what Koopa shell he gets, he will always stomp. Now with the baby Yoshis, you do have to swallow enemies, or in this case coins, or those little purple blocks underneath, just so that he will grow full size just like that. And right here, this is the usually the end of the game the end of the level for most levels. But actually, there's always a secret way to finish it in Star World, which I'll show you guys next. So this will just kind of shoot you back to where you were before. So go back in and I'll show you guys that there's actually another way to beat it with the keyhole and the key. So you need to kind of get over here and get on top of this guy here, which I failed to do there. The best thing is just to throw one of those purple blocks, which I'll do right here. And you'll knock him out of his cloud, jump on Yoshi, and then once you jump into the cloud, just hold the up button. And you can go up here, and now there's another area where you see the keyhole, and then the key, which is underneath that question mark block there. So Yoshi will put that in his mouth, and then you go into that's the secret way of beating the level, and that would help you go now to the next red dot. So, and again, every red dot that you find, I'm just going to get rid of Yoshi here, every red dot that you find will always have 2 ways of beating the level. So the next one we're going to show you is the red Yoshi. So with the red Yoshi, any Koopa shell that he gets, he will always just breathe fire. Almost. Alright, we'll try that jump again. There we go. So, depending on enemies, but it's usually 4 to 5 enemies that you have to swallow in order Yoshi to be full enough to grow from a baby to a grown Yoshi. As you can see, there's a grown Yoshi right there. So again, it doesn't matter what Yoshis that you guys, what color Yoshis that you guys pick, they're all pretty much the same thing. It just depends on what they do with the colored Koopa shell. So here's the upper Star World area, probably the most difficult levels in the game. This is actually taken off my SNES Classic. I've played through it a bit, but I haven't 100% of this game yet. And definitely the upper Star Road area is quite difficult to get through.
Alright guys, well that brings us to the end of this episode's Tales from the Memory Card for Super Mario World for the Super Nintendo. If you guys enjoyed this video, please do give it a thumbs up. If you'd like to see more from me, hit that subscribe button, and also hit the notification bell if you want to be notified anytime I post a video. I want to thank everybody for joining me today, and if you guys would like to find me on social media, I'm on Twitter at Gaming Powerups, and I'm on Instagram and Twitch at The Gaming Powerups. So until next time guys, game on!